Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here, and this video is mainly targeted towards more newer players or maybe people who can't clear difficulty 4 very easily. I want to give you some words of encouragement and also my honest opinions about this game mode, again targeted towards newer players. But first of all, any of you who are struggling with this flaw, as of right now, as of time of recording in somewhere in the start of version 2.3, the main key factor if you guys are struggling is to focus on weakness breaking the boss. This is an elemental DPS check, or rather like an element check rather than a pure DPS check. If you realize here, everyone, like 90% of people will be running Akirion, and I know not all of you have Akirion. I want to give you some options as well. But in the second half is mainly a physical, fire and imaginary check. It gives you a bit more, but then again, a lot of these strong DPSs actually come from the very recent patches. So any of you who skip these like DPSs, you will struggle a little bit in the second half. But let me first show you some different comps. I mainly use like a Firefly in second half, Akirion in the first half, which is one of the most popular comps that most people run. But let's show you what other people are using, and I find this like super useful, right? You can come into like the screen here, click friends clearance lineup. How do you get here? And of course, don't worry about these numbers here. I really just purely auto battle everything, so I don't even manually control. Click in the replace lineup here, go into the friends clearance lineup, and you can see the different characters that are available. One common thing that I noticed is like 90% of people run Akirion in the first half. You can see here, just look at the top note, everyone's like running Akirion. Let's like refresh one more time. You have Akirion here. And if you do not have Akirion, Mono Quantum actually works really well. You can see one person is running Mono Quantum in my friends list. Akirion everywhere. I think one of my friends also has a 4-star team. Let's see whether I can find that person. We saw it a while ago. So basically Akirion almost anywhere. Some using Firefly in the first half. This is another option that you can run. And of course a follow-up team in the second half, because Imaginary is also really good. If you do not have a character, do I have... Let me just see. So some people are running like this Mr. Kelbex here is running Jingyuan. So using lightning to tackle, which is another alternative that you can go for too. Let me see if I can find one of my friends that is using a different one. Yes. So Dip is another character, another player that is using a non-meta team, which is a Sherry 4-star DPS to tackle it. That's a quantum team. And if you haven't seen like our Sherry guide video on the channel, I really talk great about this character. I think it's like she's super good, super efficient for free to play. And I think she's free. If you complete like the second floor of the Apocalyptic Shadow, you can build her up already. So any of you free to play players, I definitely recommend you trying. This is an example of a team who's using like 3 4-star DPSs, just 1 Runmei, which is like a super general DPS, and even like a not flavor of the month kind of team in the second half with a generalistic meta Fucc and just like a Imbibitor Lune with Sparkle kind of hyper carry build with Tingyun also. So this is a good example of how a 4-star can get you quite far if you do not have like Akirion and stuff. So giving you guys some options to play around with. The second half, to be honest, is the hardest set out of the two, in my personal opinion. If you have Akirion, first half is like easy breezy. So I want to give you some tips of how to increase your DPS now that we have seen some of what people are playing like in the first half. Second half, is pretty straightforward. Some like with just one person here is Imbibitor Lune. You have some Fireflies here in the second half. You have some Boot Hills in the second half. You can see that most people are focusing on 2 things. One is break effect, scaling characters. 2 is characters that are suitable for the elemental typing. So Firefly is both break effect, elemental typing. Doctor Ratio, Aventurine, Topaz and Nambi is fulfilling more of the elemental check. Why again is elemental check very important? Is because the buff and as this guide like is meant to be long shelf life, what's very important is to look at this glowing buff over here. This is the one that is probably the most important. The rest of them are not as critical but still important to know. You can see here, boss takes 50% less damage. So you're fighting into an uphill battle if their weakness isn't broken. So once you break their weaknesses and you want to focus on that, once you break their weakness, they get delayed, plus they take additional damage, so which means they'll be able to take like their base damage instead of getting this damage reduction. So breaking is super important in this current rotation. Not only that, your Stormwind Knight, as you can see here, gets certain buffs when you weakness break them. So even more so, weakness breaking, it becomes even more important for this meta. If not, it's going to be like a massive DPS check if you play with an off elemental character. So I highly recommend you look at the elements that are available. Physical, fire, imaginary is the recommended. elements to tackle this half, as well as the swords that he summons. You have to look at all of them, and I think some of them like weak to ice and stuff. I've seen a few people clearing it Jingliu, but you have to be really careful. Some of you might at this point be asking like, what buffs do I use EOD? How should I play? I think it really depends on your team comp rather than a straightforward buff. Generally, if you're playing Boot Hill or Firefly, you will go with the Break Effect buff. If you're playing with characters like Imbibitor Lunae, you might go with this Ashen Battleground and stuff like that. Whereas on the first half, if you're playing Akirion, pretty straightforward, you're going to use the Moment of Termination because you want to buff Ultimate. If you're running like Firefly in the first half, you will play Sundered Paradise, so you can get a bit more buffs as well. So, now the next part I want to talk about is don't feel stressed if you can't full clear. Full clear is generally meant for people who are very late into the game, and even players like myself who have been playing since day one and have every single character in the game. You can see here that my auto battle is not perfect either. I just scraped a 6.6k with just random teams that I was trying out as well, so it's not a walk in the park. This game mode is quite difficult, so it's no wonder that you might find it a little bit more challenging, and hopefully that's like a bit of comfort. What's more important is instead of getting stressed and like forcing yourself, should I pull for the DPS even though I don't want to, I don't like the character, just focus on the third one. This one is very easy. You can clear this super well. You don't even need to like optimize it and stuff. I was like playing with like random team compositions, just trying it out in like Note 3, and it was very easy to auto battle. So you guys should aim to at least 3-star clear Note 3 if you are like a long time player who maybe don't have the meta. If you don't have like the flavor of the month meta, you definitely won't be able to push further. It's a little bit trickier unless you are like super stacked, super high Eidolons and stuff. But for sure, first two is definitely very easy. You can get your free Shui and slowly just make your way towards the higher parts. I would say that Apocalyptic Shadow is probably the hardest game mode so far, at least when they are introducing it. But the recent Memory of Chaos is also like not exactly super easy. And yeah, that is my honest new player tips for any of you who are wondering. In terms of other characters you can play, because I realized that we didn't touch about that in like 4-star equivalents. Let's use the 3-star mode as an example. In order to do a DPS check, who do I think is very strong? If you are looking for fire, I think a 4-star character that is quite good is Queen Iphon. She offers a lot of fire DPS, a lot of increase in DPS. If you don't have Runmei, I think Esther is also very good for their fire application. Physical application, unfortunately, is a little bit less of number of characters that you can play because we don't have too many physical 4-stars that hit in an AoE. Probably Susang, probably like physical Trailblazer, but those are like physical Trailblazer is like not ideal. So unfortunately, I think it's a bit more challenging. If you were lucky enough to get Dr. Ratio when he was free, Dr. Ratio works very well in the second half. For those of you who don't have, it might be honestly a bit more challenging. But I think Susang or even Luca, because Luca skills off with break, right? Might be when he breaks the enemy, there's a lot of damage that he does. Might be an option that you can play in the second half if you're just trying to find people to hit. Your support here doesn't matter as much if you are a newer player into the game. Just try to make sure you survive as much as you can. That's my critical opinion. Other than that, it's just the usual supports that you can 4-star, 5 stars depending on whatever you want. For example, I think the best 4-star will probably be Gallagher. Since he is also of fire typing, a bit more offensive, helps you break faster too. So you can consider a team like this swapping around for like elemental DPSs wherever you have built and wherever you don't have built. For the first half, on the other hand, if you are looking for a team and you don't want to like play much 5 stars, I highly recommend you check out our video on Shui on the channel. This is an amazing character. Like, I think she's super good, especially with the break effect changes and the buffs to her with Harmony Trailblazer as well. You can play Harmony Trailblazer as well in this half, or if you don't want to even play like break effect, you don't like the style, unfortunately you get a lot of buffs for it. But if you don't want to play it, I think another character that is quite good is Serval, who hits in an AoE. She outs very quickly. A lot of lightning application, so for both Japat as well as Cocolia herself. And you can also play like a character like Lynx in the last slot. You can like draw some aggro, heal your whole team if you are looking for. Other than that, we don't have like a quantum support. I would say like Harmony Trailblazer is probably like a good alternative for a 4-star team, since it's like I'm talking about free to play options. You can go ahead and try this build. I think it will be quite useful. Swap out, mainly just focus on breaking enemy weaknesses, and of course surviving, making sure your team doesn't die. I don't think you'll be able to auto battle with this team unless they're super stacked. But yeah, those are my honest recommendations for any new player looking for cheaper alternatives. Again, you can replace any of these characters based on the team composition videos that we have already put out on the character that you're focusing on. For example, if you're switching out for a 5-star, check the team video out for that 5-star on our channel. You can easily just go into the videos that we have posted, search the character name, you'll find it in one of our videos as well. And guys, thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, do to like and subscribe. We have more videos on the channel, and do keep watching. Thank you again for your attention. See you in the next video.